Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider for Blue Book Services, and I have Greg Johnson here, our Director of Media Development, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. Well, Greg, I'm working on a story today about Walmart earnings. Everything's looking really great from them, but you had a story yesterday about Walmart's online grocery. What's going on with Walmart grocery?
A data company called Second Measure had a really nice story and package out this week. And they showed that Walmart has by far way more success with online grocery than anyone in the space, and like 2/3 more than their closest competitor, which is Instacart. And so, all the things we've been seeing the last, 18 months from earnings reports with Walmart talking about how good e-commerce has gone for them. It's things like this that show it really is doing really well. And, I didn't run all of the material in the story that I had, but I did run the link to the original report, and they have some even deeper data that shows market shares in various cities. And Walmart does extremely well in most of the big cities, except for New York, and I know that's a place they've targeted.
Yeah, well, and if you think about what's going on in New York, they've got Fresh Direct. Fresh Direct is very well established, but Walmart isn't as established in New York. So they tried to make some moves there. But when I think about online grocery and all of the different e-commerce sites that I've tried Shipt, I've tried Favor, I've tried Instacart. Honestly, Walmart was the best experience I've ever had. And part of it, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and you wonder if this is true, is it because Walmart doesn't use gig economy workers for the most part? They have actual employees fulfilling orders. I've talked at length to my order picker from when I do grocery pickup at Walmart, and she takes a whole lot of pride in what she's doing. Obviously, any employee would take a lot of pride in what they're doing, but I've always been impressed. I have very few issues. All of my produce is exactly what I'm hoping to find, and I've had seamless experiences with their online grocery, and I can only imagine that it's like that in other markets.
Yeah, there's an accountability level that I think does make a difference.
Well, we also had a couple of fun stories this week. I talked a little bit about plastic, but Greg, let's hit this Delish article about dirty secrets of produce departments. That one was a real winner for us on social media. At least a lot of people in the produce industry maybe hadn't seen this before. A lot of opinions about some of these crazy things that whatever blogger or whoever came up with this story is saying about what's going on in produce departments. So what are some of the dirty secrets of a produce department that people need to know?
Yeah, this was a really funny story. I saw it from one of the people I follow on social media, and it was 10 things that are dirty secrets. And some of them were literally about dirt, and a lot of the problems that they highlighted are solved by just simply washing your produce.
Yeah.
It was produce isn't washed before it's put on shelves, which is partly true. A lot of it actually is washed.
Yes, a lot of it is washed, unless it's field packed, of course. But field packing is a totally different thing. You don't want to wash some of that field packed stuff because it degrades quality, right?
Exactly. It picked on employees not wearing rubber gloves, and fellow customers touching the produce. Yeah, all that stuff is true. Of course, we see that when we go in the grocery store, and when you take your fruits and vegetables home, you wash them off, and that pretty much solves the problem.
Actually, one of the comments that I had from friends when I posted this was that most of them were unaware of the protocols for actually washing your produce. And as we all know, a lot of the stuff we get from the scientific community is that 10 seconds under running water is sufficient to clean off almost everything. But most people, do you actually sit there and count to 10 when you're rinsing your produce under the sink? Probably not. It's like, turn on the water, psh, I'm done. This apple's ready to eat. Yeah, most people wash it like that. But what I thought was really funny about this article was that at the end, there was a plug for avoid all these problems, shop at the farmer's market. And
that was the coup de grace.
No, that's not how this works, right? Do you think employees at the farmer's market, if you're going to go buy your produce from a pop-up table and under a tent in a parking lot. Do you think they have very good cold chain management? Can I see your Primus audit?
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't think.
The details on the cases. No, that was the silliest thing about it. Like a farmer's market would solve all the problems. I mean, some of the other things were about, there's no such thing as in-season produce. It's like, if you believe that, then why in the world would you say going to a farmer's market would be the better solution? Because farmer's markets supposedly offer the best local and in-season produce. Like
you know what I have right now in my grocery store that I actually have downstairs waiting for me to make? I actually have some figs, which I have some tiger stripe figs, which are only in season for a couple of weeks. I have some hatch chili peppers. There is one of the biggest seasonal produce items that hits most stores this time of year. That's only around for a little while. It's California grape season. I mean, there's varieties at my store that I've never seen before. My husband picked these up at Central Market. They're holiday, that's not a holiday grape. I don't know what okay. So Brian picked these up at the groceries at Central Market, and these are actually some kind of grape. I don't even know what they're called, but they're supposed to taste like strawberries, and they actually do kind of taste like strawberries. That's crazy. It's wacky. I don't even know what's going on here.
That is crazy. Well, those probably were not 99 cents a pound, but you can find 99 cents a pound berries and grapes. And why is that? And they're really good quality. It's amazing.
Right?
I wonder if they might possibly be in season.
Oh, it could be that, or it could be that the one point in this 10-point list that really drove me crazy as an apple snob was the average apple in the produce department is more than a year old. Really?
It's very hard to find one apple that's a year old.
I know that it's true.
Anywhere.
I know that once in a while, the apple controlled atmosphere storage has become, amazing. Like they crack those storage rooms open, and it's just like those apples went to sleep and are waking up. So you can find a Honeycrisp. I'm sure that was picked last August in a store somewhere. You can find one, but they're majorly outliers. And here's the thing about that I really like to think about is that if this is a dirty secret, and if you bought an apple at the store that was a year old and you didn't know, is that a problem?
Who cares?
I mean, it tastes good. It's good for you. It was in controlled atmosphere storage. It's still, what's wrong with that? If you can't tell the difference between an apple that was picked last week and one that was picked, 32 weeks ago. There's so many problems with that thing that I had a field day reading this stuff, and I know a lot of people did too. And some of the rebuttals that I've seen there on our LinkedIn page and stuff have been really amusing to watch. But the underlying thing is something that Joe Watson from PMA said, is that it just really underscores how little people know about how produce actually works, and that we all need to be an advocate, and we all need to be an outspoken advocate for produce and how this actually works, because this stuff like this gets published. I'm sure Delish has a huge following. They have a huge readership, and to see something like that, you're just like, how do we combat this? Because it's a terrible message to get out, because it's not true for the most part, and a lot of it is misleading, and doesn't help anyone.
I think we're all used to having conversations with people who are not in the industry and kind of setting them to how it works. That's why it's so shocking to see a professional food media outlet doing something like this, when this is what you'd hear from the person sitting next to you in the beer garden, and you just say, oh, no, there is an apple season.
Mm-hmm.
Harvest is in the fall, and then they go into storage. And, they believe in seasons. Well, then why would you need storage?
Yeah, I know, right? The other thing I was working on this week is packaging. I feel like I talk about packaging every day. But Brett Birdsall from Dacre and Hackett sent me a news release about their new packaging, but then they also sent me some samples that were packed up in these tote bags. And tote bags are not new to produce. However, tote bags marketed as a plastic-free option are something that we're going to start seeing, I think, as shippers are trying to find a way to appease consumers who don't want their grapes in this, which is not recyclable. I don't care if it says it's a number 5 on there, it nowhere recycles this. And then this as well, people don't actually want this either, even though this is a little more recyclable if you have a system that actually takes these. People want to get away from plastic, but there's a lot of items in the produce department that you actually can't get rid of packaging for, and grapes are one of them. Why don't you want to have bulk grapes in the produce department, Greg? You probably know this, right?
Oh, there used to be horrible stories of grapes falling on the floor and people slipping and falling.
Yes.
Millennials don't even know that. We are old enough to remember that used to be an issue.
Yeah, grapes, number 1 slip, trip, and fall hazard in the produce department. And actually all of grocery, I believe. It's not pickle jars, it's not bananas, it's actually grapes. So you can't just leave these willy-nilly on the shelf. You need something to contain them. And then retailers also want to have something, obviously, because you want somebody to pick up 2 pounds of grapes. You don't just want them to pick up like one tiny little bunch and walk off. Right. And they're going to end up putting them in a bag anyway. So are we going to see more things like this recyclable, reusable tote bag? But pouch bags have become kind of the industry standard because, the grapes look so nice in them. They sell so well. They've got the zip top, all of that stuff. But people are really turned off by the plastic. So I thought it was really interesting to see a company come out with this. And they also have a little bit, these bags also have like a little bit stronger of a handle and stuff than some of the other pouch bags I've seen. But it's not something that's standard anymore, but is it going to become something that people are going to look at again as we look toward lower plastic options?
Yeah, there will be retailers who have a clientele that's much more important to them, and they need to have that option. And I'm glad the industry is starting to fill that need.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that consumers are saying they want. Let's see if they put their money where their mouth is.
I agree. Put it out there.
All right. Well, that's it for the week in review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up. These are really good grapes too, by the way. Although
the ones that taste like the berries.
No.
No.
So these berry ones, they're like a tom cord, So they have like a little tiny seed inside.
Yeah.
But
you have to spit it out.
Like a muscat, maybe.
Oh, so not very tart.
No, not at all. They're like super, super, super sweet.
Okay.
But they do have a bit of a strawberryness to them.
Yeah. Consumers are reluctant to pull grapes out of a bag, even though they're buying it by the pound.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I know that. So sometimes if it's kind of expensive, like I don't want 2 pounds, I think 1 1/3 would be about enough. So you put some out, put them in another bag, whatever. That's what I usually do. Except this week, green grapes at Aldi were like 68 cents a pound. I was like taking it from other bags and putting them into mine. I rang up like 3.5 pounds in one of those things. It was like overflowing.
I did a video once where I was talking about how you don't have to fill up you don't have to, cherries especially. Cherries are the one that get you where you're like, beginning of the season.
$12.
Rainier cherries, $20 a pound or something like that. And you have like this many cherries and it's $12. And people are scared of taking them out of here and putting them in a different bag because it's like, you feel like you're stealing or something. But I'm like, I'm that guy who's in the produce department who's like, hey, as long as that's not sealed, you don't have to buy it all. Like this, yes, these are yours. If you buy this is all yours.
Yeah.
This is unit price. That's it. But this, no, this is however many you want in here. Actually, this is kind of funny. This bag was the random weight bag that they were offering to pack your own grapes in at Central Market. It wasn't one of those ones on the roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that was the thing, is that Brian punched in the number and the number rang up as holiday seedless, and I was like, no, that's not a holiday seedless grape. These are a little too tiny for that.